Hello and welcome to Charity's Treasures. Today is Definition Tuesday. So welcome. Our word today is foreshadowing. So here's the definition of foreshadowing. To foreshadow is to predict something or give a hint of what is to come. Like if you have a sibling that likes to take things apart like a toaster and put it back together, that might be a sign that she has a career in electronics or something. My son used to take things apart. He still does. He takes things apart and he puts them back together, but in his own unique way. So that has helped him pick the career that he's trying to have right now. And I think it will also determine what he does in the future pertaining to that career and other things that he does. So I think it's interesting. You see your kids that way, and the things they do can foreshadow what you know they might become. Okay, so foreshadowing is used in the Bible, and it's also used by authors. The book that I am going to publish soon, I use this tactic of foreshadowing in my story. So what is it? Foreshadowing in writing is where authors plant hints about future events that are going to be in the story, creating anticipation and preparing readers for what's to come. It's the art of saying something important is about to happen without revealing exactly what or when that thing will happen. Authors will drop subtle hints, clues, or symbols in the story to prime readers for the future plot, developments, creating suspense and anticipation. So we use these as authors all the time. In my Substack, I will include some examples that you can study of what I was just talking about, of all the ways the authors and how the Bible uses foreshadowing. But I'm just going to mention a specific example in this video. So if you want to go to my Substack and read all of the different examples, you can do that. Okay, so let me see here. I am going to use the story of Joseph of Egypt when he was in the prison with the cupbearer and the baker, okay? So Joseph interprets the cupbearer and baker's dream. Some of you might not know the story, but I think most people probably do. But if you never read the Bible, you probably don't. So it's in Genesis, I think chapter 10. Okay, I'm trying to think of off my hand, but anyways, you can go find that out. So I love this story in the Old Testament. I love learning about Joseph. He's like one of my favorite characters. When I read and study his life, I feel an immediate connection to Joseph, like I know who he was and who he is. And so I am going to use this story as an example of foreshadowing, used to predict future events. I will be talking more deeply about this story specifically when we are in Come Follow Me. So I will be delving into this story a little bit more then. But today I'm just going to skim over it. So when we initially read this suspenseful account, we are speculating how it will forebode, word from last week, and will the premonition, another word from last week, will it really come to pass? I mean, if you read it for the first time. So if you have already read it, you already know what happens. So Joseph was in prison with a cupbearer and a butcher. These men both had dreams the same night. Joseph, in the morning, he's talking to these men, and he foreshadowed the events that would happen to the cupbearer and the baker after interpreting their dreams. One foreshadowing would be good. The other, not so good. On Pharaoh's birthday, so these men, they were released from the prison. And on Pharaoh's birthday, the cupbearer was restored to his position. On the other side of the coin, the baker was executed. So Joseph informed them that this would happen in 3 days' time. He pleaded with the cupbearer, Joseph did, to inform Pharaoh of the interpretation. I assume Joseph wanted the cupbearer to do this because he had a foreshadowing knowledge, because of this experience with the cupbearer and the baker, that he, Joseph, would help Pharaoh one day interpret a dream that the Pharaoh would have. foreshadowing events. I'm sure this is something that came into Joseph's mind. The cupbearer, though, failed to inform Pharaoh right away. But when the time was expedient, he remembered the experience and explained to Pharaoh the circumstances which occurred in the prison. Okay, this leads us to Candace's grandfather, Robert. Last week, we talked about names and their meanings. Candace had a grandfather. He died on October 19th, 2021. We will discuss him a little bit more on Thursday, I think, and his role in her life. But I'm going to foreshadow a little bit before this episode on Thursday. Her grandfather's name was Robert. The name Robert means bright fame, shining with glory, or renowned bright. It is associated with strength, nobility, and popularity. The name represents someone considered stable, reliable, nurturing, and practical, which I have watched Candace talk about her grandfather, and I have seen him in many instances in her life, and this name seems to fit him from what she says and what I've seen. It means that the bright component represents a beacon of knowledge, wisdom, and inner light. Individuals named Robert are often associated with being insightful and seeking understanding. The name embodies a strong, enduring, and authoritative spiritual presence. Last week, we discussed what Candace's name means. In summary, for today, I would just summarize it as a brilliant light. If you want to go back on Friday's episode and or go on my Substack and read what the meaning of her name is, you can do that. But I'm not going to go too much into that today. But as I think about what her grandfather's name represents, I feel like his life foreshadowed her life as it pertains to the names given to them. As it pertains to his name and her name, it's like he kind of foreshadowed her life through their names, if that makes sense. I don't know. This is the way my brain thinks. People might not understand my brain, but this is how it works. So anyways, I think that's a really cool thought, right? Because he was one of her biggest supporters. And we're going to talk about that later. I think this is interesting, and it amazes me how God works in the little details of our lives, even as it pertains to something seemingly so simple as the names we are given. Who knew that names could bring people together, helping them understand their divine purpose? I believe it's true, though, especially since I've been studying these things. I looked up my mom and dad's name, and it's like, just fits them perfectly. I've never done that before, but it's like really cool. Anyways, so the lighted angel. On February 4th, 2026, I had a vision, and it was after a day before that I had a dream, and I'm going to talk about that dream probably tomorrow. So it was a quick vision, and at first I didn't understand it. I didn't even record it like I usually do because I thought, well, it really doesn't have any significance. As the day carried on, though, I couldn't get this vision out of my head, so I decided to write it down. And I am going to tell you what I saw. So, in this vision, I was mysteriously observing someone, and she reminded me of myself. So I could relate to what I was witnessing, like I was seeing a reflection in the mirror. But I kept having the feeling that it was someone else. Maybe someone that I was foreshadowing. Maybe someone in my story, or someone who was supposed to be in my story. I felt an immediate connection and knew this person was a woman. She was surrounded by complete and deep darkness. So intimately dark and almost impenetrable. She was a beautiful woman. Her countenance shone like lightning, as if lightning from her features wished to strike somewhere. She was favorably glowing in her person, and her whole body was full of bright light, attempting to penetrate the thick darkness that was imminently attempting to surround her, all the while aiming to infiltrate her body. She had stunning wings. These far-reaching wings were larger than her smaller frame, but she was able to boldly hold them up perfectly and with absolute strength. The wing part that was attached to her direct back was also white, but after maybe a couple feet of this part of the wing onset being white, the wing began to fade into gray tones. And then by the time I could see the tip of her wings, they were completely black, as if the blackness around her was trying to infiltrate her wings so she could not fly. In the dream, she was not able to fly because of the darkness that was infiltrating her wings. But she was firmly endeavoring to accomplish this seemingly unfeasible task. And I felt that the brightness of her inner being was stronger than the outer blackness that was trying to penetrate through the powerful wings and into her splendid being. Then it ended. I was like, come on, I need to see more. But it ended. So what does this mean? Seeing an angel with white, angelic or light-colored and black wings generally symbolizes a powerful balance between opposing forces, such as light and darkness or good and evil. We'll talk a little bit about this later this week. The image may symbolize a personal journey or metamorphosis. This can symbolize grief and the loss of a loved one. So that's kind of important, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later. Charlie foreshadowing Candace. So when I think of Candace, so that dream was kind of me foreshadowing the events to come that I'm going to talk about and that I'm probably going to include in my story. And now we're going to talk about Charlie foreshadowing Candace. When I think of Candace, I think of Charlie becoming president. And that was kind of what everybody thought what his destiny was, right? But he died. And this was a bad thing that he died. He can't be president now. His wife, Erica, is attempting to foreshadow Charlie. She is thinking about becoming the next vice president. There's been word about that. People have been talking about it. But she is not his foreshadower. Andrew Covette of Turning Point USA told Candace that it was supposed to be her that was killed, not Charlie. If you think of foreshadowing events, then Candace, who was supposed to be the target instead of Charlie, would take Charlie's role and become maybe president, right? This would be two different scenarios, the same people in the same situation, just like the baker and the butcher in the prison cell with Joseph. Candace and Charlie are in the same prison cell. One dies and the other lives. Candace and Charlie can place themselves in many situations of the stories of the Bible, just as we all can. And that's what I am trying to help everybody learn this year, that the scriptures pertain to us in the present day. We are in the scriptures. We are living out all these stories and all those experiences in our present lives, and will continue to do so in the future. What does this have to do with genealogy? It is important that we record our experiences. This is one good thing about social media because everything is recorded, but it is important to also write our own book of remembrance. This year, we will be intimately engaged in these stories. We will get to know the unique characters in the Bible as if they were our close friends and relatives. We will see as they see. We will know as they know, and we will receive as they received, depending on what story we purposely place ourselves in, or the story that God puts us in as we go throughout this year reading the scriptures. How wonderful is this? God is great. He has a great plan, and he uses those in the past just as much as he will use us in the present and the future. He will reveal things just like he did in the past to us in the present. His revelations and works are eternal, and these stories keep forming one eternal round. Okay, so I will talk more about the dream I had of Candace and relate that to the rest of the stuff going on this week. So tune in for the rest of the week, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember that we are continually forming one eternal round, and that is a good thing. Goodbye, everybody.